Hey guys, it's Andrea here at VW Family Farm, and today I'm just going to tell you what I think. So you may be thinking, well, why is today different than any other day? You always tell us what you think. Well, you may be right, but today we have a bit of a different video for you guys, and I'm going to share with you some of the things we're doing with our cattle and some of the ways that we feel and the reasons that we feel that way. We have someone coming out to our farm to do what is called a hay test today. You may be thinking, what in the world is that? I didn't even know about this until not too long ago, and went to basically a class and found out the importance of knowing what is in your hay for your cattle. If you're feeding cows, and it doesn't matter if you want to be a totally grass-based operation or you want to feed some grain or some protein tubs or whatever the case may be, cows primarily eat grass. This grass-fed thing has just been taken way out of proportion. All cows eat grass. If they don't, they're not going to be a very healthy animal if you just put them in a feedlot and put them on grain. But I think there's a misconception. Even in like these intensive feedlot situations, they are still eating grass. Now, I'm not a proponent for those at all. In fact, we have driven past them before out in Texas and places, and they are flat out nasty. But what I'm trying to get you to see is a lot of times this grass-fed thing is a marketing tool, because all cows eat grass. That's what they thrive on. That's why they have the stomachs. They're a ruminant animal to like break those down, and then it moves through the different stomachs. They regurgitate it and chew their cud and all the things. It's because they're meant to eat grass. But along with that comes, you need to know how nutritious is your grass. All grass is not created equal. You hear so much about feeding your soil these days and healing the land and taking care of the land and all that. That's because you need healthy soil to grow healthy grasses and forages and things for your animals. If you don't know what is in your forage, you could be really, really underfeeding and have some really unhealthy animals if you're not careful. So this is where I'm going to tell you like I feel a little bit, tell you like it is, I guess. Everyone has their own opinion. We have tried to be transparent on our farm with our meat business. We do not put animals up in a feedlot type situation. We don't pin them up and like just pour the like 25 pounds of grain or something, I don't even know how much, a day to them. We just do not do that. We feed our animals primarily grass. We want a grass-based operation. We want grass-fed beef. But we do not make any claims that they never eat a bite of grain. And I have had a few people over time question me on that, and I just try to be as transparent as possible. If they are concerned that the animal they're going to eat has ever had a bite of grain in its mouth or ever had, protein from a source that we supplemented in its mouth, I've just had to tell a few people we are probably not for you, because our theory and our thoughts on it, we want to be a grass-based operation. That's what we want. That's what we want to feed our own family. But when we have gaps in nutrition here on our farm, we also love our animals. And you may be like, well, you're eating them. Yes, we are, but we want to take care of them to the best of our ability. And if that means we have gaps in nutrition and we have to provide some supplemental protein from time to time, we're going to do that. Does that mean we're ever going to have a feedlot situation? No, I'll stop before we do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to eat that. I don't want to sell that. I don't want my name on that. But what it does mean is we're trying to be more and more as time goes on intentional about what our animals get. So the reason we're doing this hay test today is because we need to know what's in our hay. How nutritious is our hay this year? Where's the gaps? And the reason is because you could be feeding a high protein supplement to supplement your hay when your cows really need a high energy feed, and it doesn't even have to be feed. That's another thing that it just makes me cringe when people say our animals are just completely grass-fed, no grain ever, but then you go to their farm and they're feeding liquid feed or they're feeding protein tubs. And the reason I'm saying that is because I get sick and tired of the population that doesn't know better. They don't know to see through these marketing gimmicks. I wish people would just say, we do feed liquid feed, or we do feed protein tubs from time to time because our animals need it, or whatever the case may be. Just quit tricking people. But that is why we are doing this today. That's why we are doing this hay test, because we need to know where our gaps are. It could come back and say you have no gaps. Your hay is so well balanced this year. It's really good. You don't need anything. And if that's the case, we're not going to spend the money, because all those things you supplement with cost money. People used to supplement with things like gin trash from cotton ginning, or distiller's grains, just different things from different farming practices. And those things were dirt cheap, and that's what they could afford and get their hands on. Those things are not even cheap anymore, because they figured out that it's a byproduct, but that they can sell it and make, you know, more profit off something that was just basically trash to them before in their farming practices. It was what it's called. It was a byproduct. So those things are still natural things coming from the land, but yes, they are different than grass-fed. So I'm just trying to give you information. I'm not telling you, you know, you should eat, you know, beef that's never had grain, or you should eat one that's fed out on corn. I know people that do all those and everything in between. This is just a video for knowledge. It's not to sway you one way or the other, because probably you already feel how you're going to feel. But I will say, ask your farmer questions, because that is one thing that fires me up, is marketing gimmicks, and it goes on even in the homestead and the farming world. It really does. And so just educate yourself, no matter which way you want to go with what you're eating. Educate yourself so you know what you're getting, and you're getting what you're wanting to be getting. So I'm gonna let him just take it from here. I'm gonna let you see how he's gonna do this hay test, and hopefully he's gonna share with us a little bit of his knowledge. This is our county extension agent. He's full of knowledge, and we go to cattlemen's meetings sometimes and he'll speak, and I just love to keep learning. So hopefully he's gonna share some things with us, and if I don't catch you at the end of this video, I'll see you guys on the next one. God bless.
Trying to get it to where it ain't had no rain on it.
Yeah, so because that might mess up your moisture reading, or what the moisture's going to be. This way.
Okay, so I'm out here with Brian today. He's our local county extension agent, and we're taking hay samples, and I'm gonna kind of let him explain to you exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Thank you, Ben. So basically, when we take hay samples, we're trying to figure out what the quality of your hay. Even within each cutting, there's going to be a difference in quality, because, you know, at times, depending on rainfall, depending on how much fertilizer you've put out, depending on if we're getting a lot of rain and you can't get into the field till the grass gets more mature, because the more mature the grass gets, the lower your quality starts to go, especially once that grass starts to make a seed head. Once it does that, it's starting to focus all its energy into the seed, and then the stem gets thicker and becomes more stemmier, if you will, more fibrous, and so the digestibility of it's not quite as good as it gets older. And so we're looking, and with this we can do a hay test through the University of Arkansas at our lab for $18, and it'll tell you the crude protein and also tell you the TDN, which is the total digestible nutrients, and that relates to energy for the cow. So energy feeds like corn, they're high in TDN, and so we're looking to see what the protein is, what that TDN is, and to see if Ben needs to supplement his hay. There's a chance he may not need to, or if he does, how much of what he needs to. He may just need protein, he may just need TDN, and so it really helps you to fine-tune that. If you don't test it, you really don't know what's in it. A lot of people have the misnomer, well, it's green and pretty looking, and I hear this a lot, it's fertilized hay. Well, fertilized how much with what? And so it really, you really can't tell just by looking. And then we've done some different educational programs where we've had people guess, and sometimes you can guess, you can tell some pretty crappy hay.
Right.
But there's some of that might not look all that great, but actually tested pretty well. So it's really just helps you to fine-tune what you're doing, and nutrition is one of the most important things on cattle, especially when it comes back to get them bred back and produce that calf that you need.
So this might have, just say, it might have a lot of protein in it, so rather than us going out and buying liquid protein or protein buckets or feed that's got high in protein, I may not need that, right?
Right, exactly. And a lot of times we'll test hay and the protein will be okay, but they'll need energy, kind of like what he's talking about, and you can do that with corn or DDG or corn gluten feed or something like that. Or it could be just the opposite. You need the protein, or you need both, but it really helps you to know instead of just trying to guess what you need to do. So ultimately it should help you from a financial standpoint. Now, I have had cases where the hay wasn't as good as they thought and it ended up costing them, but truly it didn't, because if you're not providing your animal what they need, they're not going to perform ultimately how you want them to perform.
You want all of them to breed back.
That's exactly.
That's money in the pocket.
Exactly.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Appreciate you having me.
All right. All right, first off, I want to apologize about the wind. I know it's been gusting every once in a while and making noise on the camera. Can't help it. We've got a windsock on there to kind of try to break some of that down, but at some points it gets to gusting so much that just can't block it all out. So I was going to also mention in here, we're doing a lot of talking about cattle, but all this pertains to all your animals. I mean, we feed our hogs, we feed them hay. We got a few goats, we give them hay. Of course, the horses get hay. Pretty much everything around here, and each animal requires a different kind of hay, I would say. When we look for hay for our horses, we look for what they call horse hay. It's a really, really good hay. It hasn't gotten wet. Horses can't have mold in their stomach like cows can. Cows don't need a bunch of it, but you can get hay wet out when you're cutting it, let it dry, and the cows still be able to, process that. Horses, it's not near as good for. So horse hay, you really need to keep it dry, and some really, really good quality hay. So that means it's going to be more expensive. I actually went and bought some big square bales of hay, and I'm talking humongous square bales of hay. Only 2 of them would fit on the truck, so that's how big they are. But they are alfalfa, and they come out west. There's an 18-wheeler that brings loads of them in. I bought 2 of them. They're like, I think there's like $200 a piece, something like that. But we give them, instead of grain sometimes, we give them what they call a leaf of alfalfa hay. And I'll show you that here in a little while. But when we're giving them grain, the horses, we give them a few leaves or squares of just regular Bermuda grass, clean horse hay. It's not like they're starving out here. You can see they're grazing around. So I actually just moved them off this paddock over here into this field. They're grazing it down. It's got some standing hay in it, and it's got some green fescue down in the low area. So that's why they're not just going crazy, bawling and wanting something to eat. They've actually got something to eat. I think they're a little bit more curious what I got, but on our hay, we do it 2 different ways. So out here with the big herd, we always roll it out. When we got an area that has just a few cows in it, like the dairy cows, for instance, you're not going to roll out hay for them. It'll run, they'll lay in it, they'll pee and poop in it, per se, and they'll run a lot of that hay. Out here, if you roll it out, it's going to spread the nutrients out. The cows out here, they're going to poop and pee all down throughout where you're rolling the hay out at, and it's not just all in one round concentrated area. When you do that and it's wet around, they'll really muddy the area up. When you're driving a tractor over it, it's really rough. It's just not ideal. What's ideal, if you have the machinery to do it and the head of cattle to clean it up efficiently, is to roll out their hay. So since I just moved these cows over here and they've got some grass that they're still grazing on, I'm going to just unroll about half of this hay and then take the other half up to the bulls and the steers. And just sitting here talking, I look down there and I've got a cow standing off by herself. I really wonder if she's had a calf. Let's go see. She's really acting like she's got a calf. We'll see. See how she's standing off by herself, totally away from the rest of the herd. And she kept looking back. Let's see, number 57. Gotta look in the books. Go to my pages. Let's see, cow number 57. Not on the books. Yeah, oh, now she's getting ready to have one, it looks like. I don't know if you can see it out the back end there. Yeah, she's getting close. So nope, she hadn't had it yet, but she's in the process of it. We'll definitely need to come back later and check on her. But a pretty busy day today, but definitely not too busy to come back and check on her. We'll give her a few hours, try to let her have it on her own. So here's those big square bales of alfalfa. I found a different use for the brooder while we're not using it during the winter. Storing this alfalfa in here, keeping it good and dry. I'm gonna grab me a couple flakes of this to feed to the horses today. Look how green this is. I don't know if y'all can tell that. Good green, high in protein. Good for the horses. Well, wheelbarrow's the best way I figured out how to carry this. Either that or throw it on the bed of the truck and drive it down here. Oh, they're standing there waiting on it. You being camera shy?